May, 6 p.m. Fred, would you say the prayer? Mr. Elton, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Father God, we come before you, God, asking that you give us wisdom and discernment, Lord, that you give our leadership here wisdom and discernment, how to best conduct the business for our counties, make the best decisions for our county citizens. And Lord, in all things, honor you above all, and God, that our leadership would honor the citizens and the taxpayer. God, I pray that you guide this meeting by your Holy Spirit, and God, that we would yield and submit to your leadership and authority. God, protect our families, protect our loved ones, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the adoption of the agenda, I'd like to make a couple of amendments here. For 10K, consider approve authorization to accept GDOT or GDOT contract for costs associated to update the airport layout plan at Jessup Wayne County Airport. And under executive session to include possible litigation. So do I have a motion to accept the agenda with the amendments?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to second.
Second.
Have a motion to second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
And Chairman, real quick, let me remind everybody, if you would please speak into your microphones.
Approval for the minutes for the April 1, 24 session or meeting. Open floor for a motion.
I'll make that motion. It will.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. Presentations and announcement, we have none. Citizens concern, Mr. Benton, are you with us? Mr. Benton? Could you come up, sir, to the podium here? I believe you're going to be talking about paving King Drive, Wildwood Road, and the road to Smith Grove Church.
Yes, that's my concern.
Okay,
And how y'all doing this afternoon?
we're doing good, sir.
I like to get that them 3 roads paved, not like 341. We don't want the expressway. They got a lot of roads in town. The city did. It's got asphalt in the communities. We want our road the same way in our community. And the road's so bad that people can't hardly go to church. I mean, on these roads, we got white and black live on the road, so ain't no concern about that. But I talked to Edfield. They supposed to come, but I think he's working. But anyway, him and his wife can't get up and down their road when they do have rain or bad weather. And I just want a little asphalt on those 3 roads. They ain't big as a football field. They ain't long as a football field, I mean, why we can't have, you just got through saying justice for all, but why it can't be just for a few?
Mr. Benton, could I ask you one question? Does the road going to the church, does it have a name?
We just call it Church Road, and it's been like that for 100, before I was born.
You have noted that, Mr. Elton.
We just call it the Church Road, 'cause it ain't quite as long as a football field.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And Chairman, we just pulled the ditches on there, on the church road. I went down and visited myself and looked at it. It was pretty bad when it does rain, and we had our road department come pull the ditches, and it's a lot better now. But, anyway, I've seen what, Mr. Bennett's talking about, so I can get with Mr. Elton later on.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Benjamin? I'm sorry, but I failed to mention, Ms. Benjamin, you have a maximum of 5 minutes. Appreciate you being brief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Y'all doing good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. I want to thank you for the progress that you as a commission have made in the past 16 months. When you first took office, you immediately started the process of appointing a new county administrator, and you increased pay for Wayne County employees. You ensured the sheriff's office was well funded, all while still maintaining a very tight budget to ensure minimal tax increases. You even advocated on our behalf at the school board millage rate hearing, when most of us felt we would not be heard. I saw an improvement as you all worked with the sheriff's office and the Jessup Police Department and Commission to address the homelessness issue. You also proactively and at the wise direction of your new county administrator passed an ordinance to protect the county from abuses by solar panel companies, something a citizen from another county admired and sought to have implemented in his county as well. You spent hours in a work session listening to Godwin Favorito and Wayne Kennedy explain our concerns with our election system software that our state uses. It was so wonderful to watch all of you working as a team to turn over a new leaf in Wayne County. However, as the months went by, it seemed that the honeymoon of Wayne County's fresh leadership team had ended. And I watched in bewilderment as the month-to-month proceedings from the bench became more troubling. At the beginning of the year, while the commission continues to make good decisions, such as directing grant money to Anchored in Wellness, I had hoped there might be an improvement. But to my dismay, it seems that things have gotten progressively worse. Without naming specific observations, I simply implore you to please consider how this is affecting us as citizens of Wayne County. Mr. Chairman, on the campaign trail, one of your stated goals was to plan with other commissioners and citizens long-term goals and priorities. I'm asking you to please renew that goal and, at a minimum, do all in your power to ensure that all your fellow commissioners are kept in the loop regarding facts, data, and developments related to county business that you all manage and vote on together. I believe in your ability to effectively communicate among yourselves and determine to resolve any issues with facts and grace. As we face difficult times in our nation, our state, and our county, we, the people of Wayne County, need the assurance of knowing that our county governing authority is functioning well and, as a team, is prepared to face head-on whatever may come. Thank you for listening. I'm praying for you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benjamin.
Next item is public hearings. We have none. Old business, we have none. New business, Mr. Jerry Huffman, Fire.
Thank you, sir.
I've already seen it.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Got two items I'd like to discuss with y'all tonight. First one is, I'm very excited to announce the fire department has received a grant that's gonna save the county just over $20,000 this year. We applied for the Georgia Fireworks Tax Grant and were chosen as one of the recipients for this year. This is a grant that the state of Georgia created in 2017 with a 5% excise tax on all fireworks sales in the state. And then 40% of those taxes are given to the Firefighter Standards and Training Council to be distributed through this grant. There is a maximum request of $25,000 per department and requires a 10% match. Our grant application was submitted to request 6 full sets of turnout gear, which is head to toe, helmet, jacket, pants, boots, gloves. One set of those right now costs about $3,800. So our total request was for $22,800, and the county will only have to pay $2,280 of that. We should be receiving those funds any day, and the vendors should be here the next couple weeks to size people for gear. The second item I have, the pictures that I gave you guys of the fire truck. I'd like to request approval to donate one of our old engines to the prison fire team from Georgia Department of Corrections. Currently, the prison fire team is located in Long County. They used to be out at the old Wayne State Prison in Odom, and they still go out there 4 days a week to maintain the property. They respond to calls while they're in Wayne County as well as from the prison day and night anytime we request them. They've been used to supplement fire response in Wayne County since the early 90s. They used to have an engine and a tanker that they used to respond to fires, but several years ago they had to take them out of service due to disrepair. By donating one of our old trucks, this will give them the ability to respond to more calls as well as be able to respond sooner. Right now, whenever we request them, there has to be somebody on scene with a fire truck. Otherwise, when they respond in their van, all they are is manpower and they have to wait for a fire truck to show up. They would house the engine out there at the Wayne State Prison. So especially during the week when a lot of our volunteers are working or out of town, that'll help us by having somebody that can respond with a fire truck. It's a 1982 Ford 8000. That's what the pictures are that I gave you. It's the oldest of the 12 engines that we currently have. If we donate that truck to the prison, it'll still leave us with the 9 primary engines and 2 backup reserve engines, which is what's required for ISO. As well as, I didn't include in my list, the truck we just got back from the city of Jessup. My understanding about a year ago, this process was discussed and talked about, but nothing was ever followed through with. But the truck's currently at the prison. They were expecting it to be donated before. They can't use it until it's properly transferred, title and everything, so they can get insurance on it.
Do they? I got a question.
Go ahead.
Do they bring their turnout gear from Ludowici when they come?
So they currently have a van, like an 8-passenger van that they respond in, and they have turnout gear and air packs in the van, but that's the only equipment they carry right now. They have the equipment to go on this engine. All of our equipment was taken off of it before it was moved out of the prison. They have equipment sitting in their station they can use to outfit the truck. So all they need is the actual vehicle to be able to start responding. I think that's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
Does it run?
It does run. It did sit for about 6 to 8 months. We just put some new batteries in it and started it up. Now I think probably need some fuel filters changed out. Sounds like they're clogged up. But it does run. It's been tested every year, pump service testing that we do. It's passed. The guy that does the pump testing said that it seems like a very good truck and the motor's good and the pump. So hopefully it'll last them a good long while to be able to help us out with it. But at the very least, it'll help for a little while.
Madam Clerk, that's not on the agenda. Is that something we need to put on the agenda to, the next meeting, or do we, can we vote on
They
this?
can go ahead and vote on it, can't they? Since we put it on there as him presenting the fire truck. Yeah, you can go ahead and vote on it.
Okay,
Because, I mean, it is listed as on the agenda as Jared Huffman about the fire truck. So, yes,
Okay.
you can call for a vote.
And
okay,
it was, if I can just add, just like Chief Huffman said, it was something that was started some time ago, and this portion just never got completed. So we just kind of need to make it official so the state can go, yeah, it's ours, and put insurance on it and be able to drive it.
so I open the floor for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we give the truck to them.
I second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes. Thank you.
Chief.
Tha-
And thank you for that grant, too.
Yeah, thank you for, have we ever received that grant before?
My understanding is one time about 2 years ago for a much smaller amount. I'm not sure exactly what it was. We did get it one other time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Item B, consider approve update drug and alcohol policy for transit. Mr. Drawdy?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is just, as you know, GDOT, DOT, Georgia DOT, funds our Wayne Transit Program, and so it kind of even though we operated this under their auspice, basically, and they have changed some of the wording in their drug and alcohol program, where they've added some different type testing stuff, and it's just making sure that we're in line with what the Department of Transportation says we need to do for Wayne Transit.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept or adopt this policy of drug and alcohol policy for transit.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Item C, consider approved resolution certifying election results for Splosh and authorizing the bond attorney. I think everybody's got another copy. Maybe it was given to you. The first one, the language was, some of the language had changed, had been corrected. So I open the floor for a motion to accept the resolution.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, have a second.
I second it.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Yes. So I understand we have to, my question is the bond portion of this resolution. We have a facilities authority in that language. And so has any part of the county commission met with the facilities authority?
I don't think so, Commissioner, and I'm going to ask Mr. Beaver to probably back me or help me out on this if I start going in the wrong direction. But it's my understanding that we do have a facilities authority that was set up some time ago and was a good move from everything that I've been told by bond attorneys, Mr. John Purnell and Raymond James as well. But the idea is that when we put the referendum on the ballot, it had the bond question in it. So with the bond question in it, you don't have to use a facility authority. The voters have said, yes, we're allowing you to do this. So then we go straight to a bond attorney and work with him.
So I printed off the language of the facilities authority, and it's very in-depth about, I think this is a lot about transparency, and it was the previous board that came up with this. It talks about money and finances and how the money and the finances flow through the facilities authority. This board has been plagued at times in its history of a lack of transparency. So the creating of the facilities authority, I would feel so much better if this, because the language in this goes in depth about bonds and bonds and bonds. And it's a 26, is it 26-page document? It's a big document.
Yes, it is.
On about this. And it even went so far in depth to say, that they could not secure a bond until after Wayne Memorial was paid off and after, the voters voted to pass this law. So if we've negated the need for the Facilities Authority at this moment, my question is, when does the Facilities Authority come in and take over the finances of these three major projects that are so important to the community?
Well, and once again, I'm gonna ask Mr. Beaver to get ready to back me up, because this is just my understanding from the knowledge that I've received from talking to the bond attorney and other folks from Raymond James and talking to Mr. Beaver, is that the facility authority is there anytime we need it. In other words, if we had, for instance, let's say we didn't do a SPLOST and something traumatic come up and we had to have a capital project done, but we didn't have time to put a SPLOST on the ballot or anything like that, then what we could do is go to the facility authority and through them basically get a bond for the project, whatever we were going to do. So that's what it's for. So you can use it if you don't have a resolution where the voters have said, yes, you can go get a bond. And so, I mean, that's been my understanding. And so since it was on the referendum and it was voted for, then the normal process now would be to go through the bonding attorney and go that route.
So my question is, who's spearheading the SPLOST projects?
Yeah.
Well, okay,
I mean-
okay. So, is there a drawback to not using the Facilities Authority? My concern, my
Yeah.
great concern is, if we don't utilize this authority we've put into place, are we gonna stop using the hospital authority and the county commissioners are gonna direct the hospital too? I mean, this is not ancient legislation, this is 2021. And it was developed for times such as this, because Wayne Memorial Hospital was paid off November 11th, 2022. And the SPLOST was passed in 2024?
Yes.
This
Yeah.
year. So this is the time that this authority, we're here, we need to, I don't know that we cannot use an authority. Andy, can we not use an authority? Can we say no, thank you?
So, I think the administrator was pretty spot on with his description. I'm gonna take it a little step further. So, the Board of Commissioners in amongst itself does not have the authority to bind the taxpayers or bind this board for long-term financing more than a year. And the only way that the county can secure financing for longer than a year is one of two ways. And that would generally be in the context of issuing a bond. That's where this comes into play at. The first way, and probably I would venture to say the most transparent way, is to put the request for the issuance of a bond on a referendum and have your citizens vote for it, which is what we did in conjunction with SPLOST 5. The referendum language was at the bottom of the ballot. I think anybody that's seen the ballot can see that language was there in the amount of $15 million. So that's the first way that the county can obtain long-term financing. And again, it's more of an either-or scenario. And I'll get to the Public Facilities Authority in just a second. But the way that this board has decided to go with is request that the voters choose, and obviously from the turnout of the vote, they chose to let the county commission bind them to a bond in the amount of up to $15 million there. So again, that's the first way. The second way that the county can obtain financing, long-term financing, which is usually described as longer than a year, would be through the Public Facilities Authority. So it's not a one in conjunction with the other, it's an either or. At the time that the public facility, and why you see that language about the hospital authority, so you gotta remember, so the Public Facilities Authority is something that the Board of Commissioners at the time, and I know you were around during that time, I don't think you were on the board quite yet, but the Public Facilities Authority was something that
had to be requested from the state legislators. And if you remember, there was some back and forth, and not everybody felt comfortable with the Public Facilities Authority at the time. So the legislators in their final draft, and which was approved by the commissioners, put that language in there. And at the time, it was before any conceptual drawings other than just the very basic had gotten off the ground with the courthouse, and no numbers had come out with the courthouse or the annex project at the time that the Facilities Authority was created. Being that the two ways that you can obtain financing is either through a referendum or an authority, that's the reason that you saw the language put in there about the hospital bonds being paid off. And there was seems like there was a second, you may have just mentioned, I forgot it, but I think there was two caveats before the Public Facilities Authority could approve any bonds before the courthouse financing. So the Public Facilities Authority is, the best way I can describe it in layman's terms, is probably just a pass-through organization. They have no control over the facilities that the Board of Commissioners actually look after, own, or kind of govern for the Wayne County government here. They can't dictate how big or how small something is. Basically, they're just there as the way it was described at the meeting when Mr. Pennell came to describe the Public Facilities Authority, when the talks of creating one was basically it's a tool in the toolbox. And like Mr. Drawdy just said, if there was a situation that the commissioners couldn't put it on a referendum, there wasn't a countywide vote, they just decided they didn't want to, and wanted to use that kind of pass-through organization or pass-through authority to obtain financing, they could take a majority vote to use the Public Facilities Authority. The Public Facilities Authority really will just kind of, again, they won't per se own the property. We'd have to set up some special, like, basically owner financing type agreements with them. It was still, all the property would remain in the name of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners or Wayne County government there. So again, it's an either or thing when it comes to this. It's not used in conjunction with that, and because y'all as the board voted to move forward with the referendum, or move forward with the SPLOST, or the bond language on the referendum, there's really no need to use them at this juncture. The way that we set up if I'm remembering correctly, the way that we set up that Public Facilities Authority, and there was some discussion about the best way to do it at the time, you can have a single item Public Facilities Authority, and what I mean by that is you could create a Public Facilities Authority just for the purposes of approving financing for a project like the courthouse. We kind of took it a step farther when they did that, just so that it wasn't used for one single time and then not relevant anymore. The way we kind of designed the Public Facilities Authority is really any government entity, being the school board, the city of Odom, the city of Scriven, the city of Jessup, or Wayne County, ever needed to obtain long-term financing for a capital project, whatever, could use our Public Facilities Authority to come and gain that finance. And again, it don't mean that Public Facilities Authorities then become in charge of that facility that they're requesting the financing for. Again, it's just I think the best way to describe it is a tool in the toolbox. So in this instance, since that language was already on the referendum, there's really no need to go through, approve, or use, to my knowledge, the public facilities at all.
So, where's the checks and balances if we choose not to use the Public Facilities Authority for this $15 million project?
I don't know that you have any more or less checks and balances using the Public Facilities Authority. That Public Facilities Authority is just going to stay, relevant till the time that finance is approved for it. At that point in time, you're going to structure a payback to the Facilities Authority, like I said, kind of similar to like a rent-to-own or owner financing type agreement, where that, the land that you may be using for a project or something goes in their name for a short period of time, basically until we pay off that bond. But, your checks and balances ultimately lies with the 5 elected commissioners up here. I mean, that's where your checks and balances would be if you use the Public Facilities Authority or moving forward with the bond through a referendum like this. And I guess the voters who vote on the commissioners there.
Well, I guess I misunderstood the language. Line 128 of the Public Facilities Authority document says to appoint and select agents, engineers, architects, attorneys. It goes on in great detail. And then it says in line 130 to construct, reconstruct, acquire, own, repair, remodel, maintain.
Right. The only way that you gotta remember the way, think about it in context of the tax assessors board, or I guess the hospital authority is a different, or a good one, or the IDA, another authority. You fund them, so you fund the IDA through your budget, right? You somewhat fund the tax assessors board through their budget to pay for the chief tax assessor. You don't provide a budget at all for the Public Facilities Authority, so they have a zero budget. The only way that they have the financing or the capability to finance a project like this is, first, you have to pass a resolution from this board saying, hey, we're asking the Public Facilities Authority to approve financing for a certain project. And this project will be X, Y, or Z, a courthouse in the amount of da-da-da-da-da. Through that Public Facilities Authority, they work with a bond attorney to get the financing for the county. And like I said, they are a flow-through, so again, they can't do anything without the Board of Commissioners' first majority vote of approval to conduct this act or do this business there. So that language is in there, but I think that language is in there as a necessity because technically they would be the arm of the government that would be obtaining the financing. But again, that, in my opinion, that's more of a roundabout way. If you didn't have any other options, I think putting it on the referendum is a lot more transparent, and it gives you an idea or a poll of what your citizens think about the projects that you've proposed there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we created that Public Facility Authority solely because we had the courthouse facing us. That's the reason we created it, because not being able to obligate taxpayers for long term, we had the hospital bonds already on there. That would be another tool we could use to fund the hospital, and whatever numbers we were given, we knew that was going to be something that we had to have an authority for. That's what it created for, on special projects. That's what it was created for. But also, we left the door open that other entities could use it, such as school board, Odom, Sherman, whatever, for special projects.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
also on those entities that you were talking about that we were requesting people that were going to be on that authority, I questioned it myself because they were asking for surveyors, contractors, electricians, and things like that, people that would actually know how to build something like that. And later on, when everybody on the board was going to pick somebody, once they picked their person, then you would have to have the remaining personnel that they were looking for. And so if mine was a lawyer or a surveyor or something like that, that's what I was complaining about. I was saying, well, my district may be limited or your district may be limited and we may not be able to find it out. And then I think it was Mr. Beaver that clarified that we don't really need those because all they're doing is borrowing the money. And all the questions, whether it's something small to the tile that goes in the building or whatever we're building, comes back to the commission and we would have to say so on. We just can't be held, we can't get a bond for more than a year. And just like Mr. Drawdy was talking about, if we borrow that money, if we had a catastrophic event around here and we had to rebuild something, we would utilize them, I believe, in that event, that where they would be able to borrow the money. And in this situation, it was on the referendum, the $15 million.
So my biggest concern is that we're already overseeing a $30 million budget on this board. So this is another $15 million that we would add to it. And we're all good people, and we all try to do the next right thing. But I don't have a degree in finance. Does anybody on this board have a degree in finance? That's $45 million that belongs to those folks right there.
Don't have a degree, but having certified by the University of Georgia. It's our job to oversee it. That's why they give us those classes.
It's in our oath.
Exactly.
We are to be responsible for the money, and that's part of our job, is to make sure that we go to classes. And no, I don't have anything with finances, but I think we have done an excellent job in being able to curtail the money that the taxpayers give us. Some people may not agree with that, but I think we're doing the best we can. And it's just like any other business you run. I would like to ask the question, how many people on this board have run a successful business in their lifetime?
I'll
So,
also say, for the last 20 years, I've run millions and millions of dollars of projects as project manager. Created schedules, budgets, withheld the budgets, and been held accountable. So, with that being said, I feel like that this board is capable of handling this money. I think we proved that when we went through and we cut the budget and we looked at went through every little line item, line by line. We're just not saying, yes, let's just go ahead and pass it. We look at it, and I commend this board for that. That's my opinion.
Is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Line item D, consider approve 24 LMIG change order for supplemental funds. And I'm going to read this, if you'll bear with me. The Georgia Department of Transportation has approved Wayne County's 24 LMIG supplemental funds totaling $1,316,780.68. During the April Board of Commissioners meeting, Georgia Asphalt Producers Incorporated was awarded the 24 LMIG contract for $1,508,517.58, representing an overrun of approximately $339,054.85 from the approved 24 LMIG funds of $1,169,462.73, which is inclusive of the county's 10% match. The awarded bids overrun was sanctioned for the funding for the 24 LMIG supplemental funds, leaving $977,725.83 in supplemental funds. The Wayne County Board intends to integrate additional projects outlined in the attached project list and schedule of items into the existing 24 contract for Georgia Asphalt Producers. Using the same unit cost as specified in the contract, the change order amount to the original contract was $1.5 million, and I'm not going to read all of it, will be $977,000 for a grand total of $2,486,243.41. That's, in a nutshell, we're just getting more money, almost twice as much money as what we started out being, which means a lot more money for roads. So the D is to consider approval the 24 LMIG change order for the supplemental funds. Do I open the floor for a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Mr. Elton, would you explain to the public the easiest way or the determinative way that these roads make this list? Because, you know, everybody wants the road they live in on the list.
Yes, actually, I'd like to have mine on the list, but it's not there. And I really say that from a serious standpoint. I look at these roads, the roads throughout the county, and I put together a list based on what I see as the greatest need as far as how long I look at how long these roads can last before we absolutely got to do something major to them, or till they disintegrate to the point that we've got to do major reconstruction. I try to stop us short of that, and it takes looking at them every year, because I may look and say, well, these roads are good for another 3 years, and I go back and look at these same roads the next time, and one of them say, oh, this is about to get away from us, we're gonna go ahead and do it. This other one is holding up well, so it kind of gets pushed down the line. So I look at them each year. Weather conditions, traffic changes, and things like that involve how these roads get on there. But they're looked at and reviewed on a yearly basis, and the selections are made based on my experience in dealing with asphalt road maintenance. And I've been in that business for some 40-some odd years, so that's what it's based on.
Thank you.
Mr. Elton, I've heard a lot of figures since I've been a commissioner, but how many miles of dirt roads does Wayne County have that we maintain?
Roughly about 500. That's
About
it's not an
500.
exact number, but that's close ballpark.
About 500
Yes, sir.
miles. Just,
And
thank you.
Can you tell us off the top of your head how much it costs to pave 1 mile of road?
Somewhere for us now, $800,000 probably. Depends on what kind of environment you're in, whether it's a road in a subdivision that's already got right-of-way established, and there's very minimal drainage to be done. If it's a flat-top hill and you don't have wetlands and things like that to be involved in. If there's wetlands involved, we came up with a number of, if you got acre of wetlands involved, the other day, what was the price per acre roughly?
It took 8 credits to make 1 acre, and each credit was around $70,000. So you're looking at $500,000 for 1 acre of wetlands if you have to disturb a whole acre.
So it's based, like I said, based on the credits thing. But there's a lot of factors that go into that. So I'd say $500,000 to $1 million a mile, depending on where you're at.
And if you don't mind, Commissioner, I'd like to add, because Mr. Elton has had to remind me this, him and Brandon both a few times, that typically what y'all have done in the past is LMIG money's used for resurfacing and SPLOST money's used for new pavement. And because one of the, and Mr. Elton, you kind of correct me here, but out of the 250, 60, 70 miles of paved roads that we have, you know, Mr. Elton has told me in the past that typically average, maybe a new paved road may last you 20 years unless you start having some issues.
That's right.
So what you have to keep in mind, and something I never thought about until Mr. Elton schooled me on it, was so then that means there's a certain mileage of roads every year you need to be resurfacing, because if not, you're going to fall way behind and then be in bad shape. And so that's a lot of what this LMIG is. He puts those roads on the list because every year we need to be paving a certain amount of roads in order to stay up with that 20-year trend.
That's right. If you think we've got a little short of 300 miles, but if you think in terms of 20-year service and you divide that into 300, that means you need to do 15 miles a year on average. And $1 million right now will get you about maybe 6 or 7. So this additional funding, we got the additional $1.3 million is big help with just maintaining the roads that we got. And we've reserved the SPLOST and all for the paving the new roads. But there's not a point in paving a new road if you can't maintain it. So a bad paved road can be worse than a dirt road that you can run a road grader down. So.
Very true. Thank you, Mr. Elton.
Chairman, you got a motion and a second. Would you like me to call the roll?
We have discussion. Yes, please call the roll. Thank you.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Oh, the next item is the discussion of EMS director pay. Mr. Drawley.
Commissioners, one of the things that the clerk and I have been talking about at the end of last year and beginning of this year, that part of a lot of our goals we wanted to accomplish this year is y'all have done a great job with salaries from last year, and we addressed those that started in '24. But one of the areas that we've noticed is a lot of our directors, the starting salary is been around for a long time. Now, a lot of our directors have been in position a long time, so they're making, you know, a comparable salary that they probably should be in most of their areas. And so what has happened is, since Mr. Johnson, Director Johnson had retired, and we're in the search process for a new EMS director, one of the things we looked at was the starting salary. And I've got two pieces of paper for you. This first one with the highlighted section you'll see is the starting salary for EMS director on our records is about a little over $54,000. And you'll see that most of our paramedics, that with their regular and overtime pay that's kind of built in because of the type shift they work, they make more than that now. So my request to you is to raise that starting salary so that whenever we find someone, in order to offer a competitive starting salary for EMS director. That second sheet, and I have up on the slide, is Chief Huffman kind of called around and talked to a few different counties. And you can see kind of where they're at in reference to that, anywhere from, you know, the $80,000 range, $65,000 starting, especially on the ones, I think, Brantley and Tatnall operate 3 24-hour trucks, so they're kind of in that scale that we are. McIntosh is at 2 24-hour trucks, and you can see what their starting salary is. So my request to you as commissioners is I would like to move our starting salary for EMS director for the position, because we haven't named anybody. This is just the position, that we would move that position from $54,000 to a starting salary of $65,000 with a salary range up to $80,000. And that salary range obviously is in case if, you know, we run across someone that's very credentialed, has a lot of experience, and would demand a little bit higher than a starting pay.
Would we change the job duty sheet at all? Is what we have most accurate?
It's most accurate,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
So open the floor for a motion.
Is that to be done at the bottom?
No, that's the, we're gonna get, that's the EMS,
Medical director.
the medical director agreement, yeah.
Need a motion, Mr. Chairman? I so move.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes. Commissioner
Gordon.
Yes. Next item is F, consider approved sale of map parcel J146-2. Have to do these individually. Can we do them all at one time?
Do them separately.
Separately, okay. The minimum bid was $5,500. We have a bid from Larger and Company for $65.50 or $66.50, excuse me. So do I have a motion to accept that bid of $66.50?
Yes, sir, I so move.
You have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes.
Next item is G, consider approved map parcel J14-182-1. Minimum bid was $1,500. We have a bid of $1,650. Do I have a motion to accept that bid?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Next item is H, consider approved map partial J 14-30. The minimum bid was $5,000. We have a $6,150 bid, same company. Do I have a motion to accept that bid?
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, to have a second.
I second it.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Uh,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
J 14-6 and J 12-99.
They're gonna relist those.
She's gonna relist those.
Yes,
Know
I'm
what we
sorry.
said?
We had talked to Parker Real Estate, and I asked them the question, did they think those two properties needed to come back to y'all to see about lowering that minimum? Or did she think like another round of listing would work? And she said that she wanted to relist them.
So we're
So,
gonna leave them
yes, sir.
as is.
Yeah, leave them as is, and she's gonna, I guess, list them for another 30 days or so.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item I, consider approve indemnity letter to Georgia Department of Transportation. This is a church sign that is actually in the right of way. Georgia Department of Transportation is wanting us to sign an indemnity letter relieving them from any liabilities for that sign. Is there any questions about that? Anybody got, doing it backwards, but.
Has there ever been a complaint about the sign?
No, it's been there for years and years, and it was overlooked. The Department of Transportation just worked on a bridge out there, and when they did, they noticed the sign, and they said, wait, we've got to have this indemnity letter. So that's where it came from. But I have a motion to accept the indemnity, or does it accept the indemnity letter, or we sign the
Agreeing.
indemnity letter?
Agree to it, sign it.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
The J, consider approve EMS director agreement.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask that the commission table this, and just a little bit of an explanation is, so Dr. Mullis has been our medical director for EMS for years now, and he and Director Johnson had a very friendly relationship. They've known each other for a long time, worked together a long time, and so Dr. Mullis has never charged Wayne County for anything. But he has also always said, and Richard told me this some time ago, that when Richard ever retired, he would probably retire as well, like, stop being the medical director. And the only reason for it, not that he necessarily just doesn't want to do it, him being the medical director is his license that covers what we do in EMS. So his familiarity, being familiar with with Director Johnson, he felt comfortable doing that. So since when Director Johnson announced his retirement, he talked to Dr. Mullis. Dr. Mullis was like, "Yeah, I will." He said, "But I'll stay on if y'all can find somebody, or whatever." So in the process of working something up, because Dr. Mullis doesn't know who the new, and we don't either, who the new director is going to be, he wanted to start charging a rate. Now, the only problem is just, working out the finance part. And so we wanted just a few more weeks to get together with him and the other folks involved in reference to the contract to make sure the check is written to the appropriate place. All that to say, I'm asking y'all if you don't mind, table it and let's come back to it, hopefully in June.
Should we schedule it for next meeting or?
Yes, sir, for sure. We'll definitely have something by then, for sure.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion that we table it until our June meeting.
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. The amended item was K, consider approve authorization to accept GDOT contract for costs associated to update the airport layout plan at Jessup Wayne County Airport.
And Chairman, Mr. Jeff Griffith is here, the GDOT Aviation
Expert at all
Director,
things.
expert.
Yep.
So if y'all have any questions, he is actually here in the meeting room tonight.
The way I read this is the FAA is putting up 219.4 and, no, excuse me. The state's putting up 219.4. The FAA's putting up 12,189 and we're matching that. Is that right?
Come on forward, please, Mr. Jeffrey. Because every time I get an email from him, I'm confused.
This is a format that we use, and we're required to use it. Give you a little background. The airport layout plan is required by the FAA for every general aviation airport to be done every 15 to 20 years or so. The last one that was done for Wayne County was approved by the FAA in January of 2000. So we are beyond that period. We started looking at it a couple of years ago, hadn't finished the parallel taxiway and some of the work that was ongoing out there. The purpose for this is, as each project is completed, they do an as-built or a red line update. And then every 15, 20 years or so, you come in and you take and you consolidate all of those red lines into your ALP. And then you forecast from that period 20 years out. Look what projects are going to be needed, what type of expansion, what type of work is going to be doing. So that is in essence what we're doing. We got a fee proposal, scope of work proposal from the consulting engineer that was $260-something thousand, which we looked at and way too high. We turned around, went back, and everybody's costs are going up, but that's just a little absorbent. We turned around, we asked them if they could look at it, maybe check their numbers, make sure their math was right. They were able to lower it a little bit. We asked them if they would look at the vendors. You've got a survey company that's got to come out and do survey, and then you've got an aerial imaging company that will come in and they'll do your photogrammetry, which is required to determine your surfaces. They were able to go back out and get bids from another photogrammetry company, aerial survey company, and that's brought it down, but it's over $100,000, which the FAA requires. Anything over $100,000 for design or planning has to go out for an independent fee evaluation. It has been out, it's been returned. The consultant, they got it back Friday. They're looking over it. So what we're trying to do here, we're coming up to the end of our fiscal year. In the last 2 months with GDOT, you can see all the items you've got on your agenda, or a rush time. We got 159 counties, God knows how many cities and municipalities in the state, so we're trying to get this done. If you accept this authorizing resolution, basically of what it does, you've read the amounts, which is required by law. You've done your due diligence to put it out in the public. It will give Commissioner Gordon the opportunity to sign it as soon as we get all of our information back and can put the contract together. The numbers that are listed here, you'll see the above noted not to exceed. So what you're doing is approving a ceiling. It's going to come in below that, considerably below that. What the city or the county's liability on this, or the county's share of this, the local share, is going to be about $12,000. The state will match that with $12,000, and then the rest of it will be 90% paid by the FAA. And that's a combination of your airport improvement program funds and bipartisan infrastructure law.
And that's the grant?
That's the grant.
Okay.
So I open the floor for a motion to, we're accepting the contract, is that, okay. To accept the contract of not more than $226,608.10.
Plus the 12,
Plus what?
plus the
The
local
12.
match. or
The
state
local
match.
match.
Yeah. Which would be around 12,000.
Be around 12. That's what it should cost you.
I make the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So this is not going into effect now, it will,
Once we have the contract
Right.
put together, you've already passed all the legally required paperwork. We'll send it to him. Mr. Drawdy or Mitch will call Mr. Gordon and say, I need you to come in and sign this, and it will go through the process to sign.
So basically, we're just fast tracking it. We're cutting through the red tape. Understood?
Trying to.
Yes.
While they're out there, can they go ahead and just top those trees for us?
That's a conversation for another day, but that day's coming quickly.
Yes, I know.
Mr. Drawdy, I talked with Mitch last week, and he had mentioned something about sitting down and
Yes.
look at that. I'll throw this out there. This is my home community. I live here, not just work here, but I live here. If y'all are interested in taking a little bit deeper dive into the airport and the program, I would more than happy to come sit down with y'all at a work session and kind of give you Airport 101. It's, the DOT has its own version of madness. The FAA takes it.
Well, I know, look, and I know we're waiting on the vote, but I would just say, Mr. Jeffrey, and I'm gonna take this opportunity to say it. One, I would have liked that, but I want the commission to know, I'm telling you, in the year that I've been here, it is apparent to me that if it wasn't for this guy, we would just have probably a piece of asphalt out there and that's it. I mean, he has done a phenomenal job. He and Mitch both working with Mitch. But I mean, the amount of knowledge he has in this area and what he brings to Wayne County, and we've got a nice airport out there. We really do. It's servicing a lot of our industry. So I want to say thank you, and I would love the opportunity to sit down and get some Airport 101. So,
I can't accept any of that because there are people beyond me that were putting you, or before me that were putting y'all in this position. I've just been fortunate to catch on to the right dog to run behind with the tail.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk, if you could get that signed, scan it, send it to me tomorrow.
I sure will.
Appreciate it. We'll
All right.
have it ready.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Let me know.
Oh, definitely I will.
On the DFAX board, Stacy Harris has resigned her position. And I have spoken to another lady that is very qualified, just haven't heard back yet. I asked that unless someone has someone they'd like to appoint now, I'd like to table this till next meeting.
That's your appointment also, Chairman. That's your appointment as District 1.
Okay, yes. So can, I'll make a motion that we table this until next meeting.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Items with the county administrator.
The only thing I have is, I am super excited about this. Angie Parker, along with the clerk, has been working on it for a pretty good while now. we're gonna have our Employee Appreciation Day on May 15th at Ben Park, and it's from 11 till 2. And they have just done a phenomenal job. Angie has gotten together, Ms. Parker has gotten together with Spec and the folks out at Rec. We're gonna be doing hot dogs, hamburgers, drinks. We're also gonna be doing our basically longevity awards, folks that are just hitting their 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 40-year mark. We're gonna be recognizing a few individuals. Director Johnson's going to show back up for us. We're going to recognize him for his years of service. There's going to be games involved. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. So I really, if y'all can make it out, please do come out. It's going to start at 11, go till 2. And we are going to shut down the county early that day, except, if there are employees that don't want to come, they can stay till 2 o'clock and keep their offices open. But we were really wanting to encourage all of our employees to come out, and just so we can show them how much we appreciate what they do for us. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. So, items with the clerk.
In your seats, you had the fund balance as of April the 30th, 2024. General fund is $6,861,597.25. Lost treasury account, $10,098,641.68. Restricted accounts, SPLOST, $7,543,644.18. T-SPLOST, $5,855,394.06. American Rescue Plan, $2,930,210.17. Revolving Loan Fund, $304,040.77. And then in your books, you have the March 2024 budget report compared to March 2023. Revenues for 24 were $2,200,687.91. 23 revenues, $1,845,582.94. Overall revenues are up from 2023 by 19.24%. Expenses for 24, $3,291,698.07. 23, $2,552,503.70. Overall expenses are up from 2023 by 28.96%. And that's all.
What do you attribute that increase, 28, almost 29%?
On the expenses, a lot of that is your ARP, the ARP money that we transfer into the general fund.
Okay.
It's on this sheet being overall, but on the March budget that the clerk has added into our books, if you look at those, we're pretty much right on line, just about all of our departments. I think it seemed like their EMS might have been slightly up by 1% for the time of year we're in. We're about 24% of the year for this report, and all of our departments are well within that 24% of their budget. So we're tracking pretty good right now. I'm not saying I'm not worried, but we're still tracking for now.
Commissioner Thomas, do you have any comments?
I'm good. I'm good.
You good? Mr. Hopkins.
I just want to commend the road department again. I normally get about 3 calls a week, and y'all are taking care of them. You make me look good. So thank you for that. I'll pass that on to Kevin.
It?
That's it.
Commissioner Hickox.
There was a great event in District 5 this past Saturday. It was the Porch Fest. A lot of people from the county came in and had a great day going from porch to see the city and some great music. It was just a lot of fun to showcase Wayne County. It was a great afternoon. Also, I had a phone call, multiple phone calls from a group of citizens who were not going to get their mail delivered because of an issue that was above my pay grade. And I called Elton, and within an hour, you know, that's why you wonder why they always recognize the road department. It's because phone calls just like that, because I don't know what to do with the post office when they're not going to get their mail delivered, but it's a very serious issue. And within an hour, he had a plan to get the mail delivered. I appreciate it very much. That's all I got.
Commissioner McCray.
It's part of that 40 years.
Yes, exactly. He's seen it all.
That's right. Probably just another day and on the job. I do want to proceed with the avenue of a campground at Lake Grace. I know we had looked at it at one time before. Several people out there have asked for a town hall meeting, but I would like to proceed with it, with the, Mr. Drawdy, and possibly get a layout of what we want to have out there possibly, and so we can show that at a town hall meeting.
Yeah.
And eventually get a price on it and get a vote to see if the commission approves it. Thank y'all.
Good.
I know.
Appreciate y'all.
You know, that all of the services we provide, the commission relies on somebody. And we just can't thank y'all enough, whether it's first responders, whoever it is. You know, y'all do a phenomenal job. It's amazing the wealth of knowledge that y'all have to take care of problems. As Commissioner Hickok said, you don't know where to start to fix it, but y'all do, and we do appreciate y'all. Sheriff, we appreciate y'all. All of our first responders, I mean, they do a phenomenal job, and we just couldn't ask for any better.
Is that it? Is that it?
That's it.
Something that's near and dear to everybody's heart. It's all over social media right now. Reading some this morning, actually. Republic is having some issues. Commissioner McCreary had a talk with them last week, and I think he may have gotten their attention, but we're going to have a meeting to discuss some things with the Republic. There's a lot of people being left out of this trash pickup, and we got to find out why. The contract says that every can will be picked up on a weekly basis, and that's just not happening. We appreciate your patience, and we're on it, believe me. Just hang in there. We'll keep you posted. And that's all that I have.
One question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McCrary, did we solve that problem with Lake Grace with that situation that they were gonna have some kind of event out there involving alcohol?
Yeah. My understanding is that's correct. That gentleman was called and explained that we could not, that you cannot have alcohol out at Lake Grace. Yep. Yes, sir. So, I mean, if it happens beyond what we've given
Illegally.
specific, illegally, specific directions. And I'm glad, I'll bring it up with Chief Hargrove. I don't think I've talked to him about it yet, I don't believe, but I'll get with him as we approach that date to ensure we have proper presence out there.
And thank you.
Yes.
Thank
yes.
you.
I make a motion that We're going to executive session. We will exclude Administrator Paul Trotty for personnel, and we will exclude Jamie Hickox for personnel and possible litigation.
I second it.
Wait a minute. Where do you get, where's your standing to exclude a sitting county commissioner?
County ordinance.
What county ordinance? What have I been accused of doing?
We tried to talk about this last month, Commissioner Hickox.
It's not allowed in executive session. You have to talk about it out here, so you pick the right venue.
No, we tried to talk about it in executive session, and we're not gonna talk about it out here. We're going to executive session.
Well, you don't, okay, so please tell me what I've been accused of doing, where the evidence has been presented against me, and where I've had the opportunity to defend myself.
The possible litigation is one thing. In the possible litigation is a complaint you registered with the Attorney General.
That's the Attorney General. That's not litigation. That's the Attorney General.
That's one thing. And the other thing is that there was a leak about confidential information.
What was the confidential information that
I
was
can't
supposed to be
disclose
leaked?
that out here, Jamie.
Okay, so I'm being accused of something, but nobody will tell me what I'm being accused of. This is still America. What did I
Told you
leak?
that last week, or last month, excuse me.
So I'm excluded from executive session for following the code and reaching out to the Attorney General, which is the code enforcer. Is that right? What litigation? Has the Attorney General sued us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I
That's what
I
it-
object to that, and I am an elected official, and I need to be in,
That's why it's possible litigation.
Okay. Here's what's gonna happen.
okay?
We have a motion to exclude you from executive
You
session.
just don't have the authority to do it.
Yes, we do.
You
We
know.
We have a second, and we're gonna call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner
This is
Hickox.
illegal. No, 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 this is illegal.
I, as a citizen, think it's not right too, just letting you know. That is definitely not American.
This is the venue. You present evidence right here in front of the public. They're the public.
Andy, would you read the ordinance? This is a county ordinance. It's not personal. We don't make these things up. We follow state and county laws and ordinances.
You need me to go get my
Okay.
ordinance book? Okay.
So as I believe it's in chapter 2 of the ordinances, section 25.6C, any commissioner that divulges, has previously divulged, or has threatened to divulge confidential information, legal advice, or strategy discussion may be excluded from participation in executive session by majority affirmative vote of the Board of Commissioners. A commissioner that divulges confidential information, legal advice, or strategy discussions may be publicly sanctioned by a majority affirmative vote of the Board of Commissioners.
The evidence has to be, you can speak, the evidence, according to Georgia Code 50-14, evidence has to be presented publicly. So if I am accused of divulging any commissioner that has divulged or has threatened to divulge confidential information, legal advice, or strategy discussion may be excluded from participation in executive session. That is the criteria. Where is the accusation? You can't just exclude me because you don't like that I do research. You can't just exclude me because I make public information public.
In the April meeting, the commissioners voted to retire to executive session to discuss deliberation on a personal matter. The personal matter was discussed in is Commissioner Hickox, who's paid county commissioner. Her divulging confidential information concerning the board potentially not renewing a current contract. The contract became relevant in our March meeting in executive session, and our administrator discussed salaries for certain positions and indicated that his recommendation would be not to renew a contract in order to change the funds to another position. Without a vote nor without authority from the board, excuse me, without the authority from the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Hickox deliberately called our contractor to tell him that the county would not be renewing his contract. This was information that was supposed to remain confidential and privileged. No vote was taken during this discussion. After discussion and deliberating during the executive session tonight, I'll make a motion.
Nobody discussed a contract negotiation in executive session. Our administrator stated that there would be no contract renewal. That's not a deliberation. That is not a vote. That is a statement. We will not be renewing this National Fire Service contract. Blanket statement. That and contracts are open for review. That is not protected by executive session. Beat that all you want to, it's illegal.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Will you call the roll, please?
I object.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
I object.
Make a motion, we enter back into open meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
On executive session, we discussed evaluation of Administrator
Why was I left out of that discussion?
Mr. Paul Drawdy. Feel like Mr. Drawdy's done an excellent job in his first year as administrator, and upon acceptance of his new contract, I would make a motion that his base salary be moved to $105,000 for the next 12 months. I make that in the form of a motion.
I second that.
Why was I left out of that review?
By a majority vote, you were removed from executive session. So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
I abstain. I have not seen a contract. I have not been involved in a review.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. At this time, there was no action taken on pending litigation. And I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
Second.